is now recognized. You may proceed, sir.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, kanina po, bago tayo pumasok dito sa bulwagang ito, ay meron po tayong mga kamanggagawa na nagtatanong at lumapit sa akin. Sir, boss, Kong, ano na po ang mangyayari sa dagdag sahod naming mga minimum wage earner? Ito pong mga minimum wage earner na pinatutungkulan natin ay silang mga security guard, mga housekeeping dito sa House of Representatives. At dyan po nakapatungkol ang talumpati ng kinatawang ito. Tama si Department of Labor and Employment Secretary Francis Tolentino. Historic nga talaga ang nangyayari ngayon. Historic because after the government proudly announced an already inadequate 85 pesos wage increase, even that limited relief was suspended before many workers could feel its benefit. Historic ang pagsasawalang bahala, historic ang pagtalikod, historic ang pangwawalang hiya sa mga manggagawang Pilipino. The Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board in the National Capital Region issued Wage Order number NCR-27 granting an 85 pesos increase in the daily minimum wage. But the increase was divided into two tranches. 60 pesos effective July 25, 2026, and another 25 pesos effective January 20, 2027. Barya na nga, 2 gives pa, at ngayon, pati ang pagpapatupad ng first tranche ay illegal na pinigil. On July 30, 2026, Mr. Speaker at mga kasama, the Regional Trial Court of Pasig City issued a temporary restraining order preventing the RTWPB NCR and the National Wages and Productivity Commission from implementing Wage Order number NCR-27 until August 13, 2026, subject to the petitioning company's posting of a 1 million peso bond, and the court also set a hearing on the application for a preliminary injunction. So let us be clear about what happened. Inanunsyo ng gobyerno ang makasaysayang 85 pesos na dagdag sahod. Then, workers were told that they could not receive the full amount immediately. And before they could even receive the first tranche with certainty, employers went to court and secured an order suspending its implementation. Uulitin ko po, Mr. Speaker, barya na nga, installment 2 gives hulugan pa, at ngayon, suspendido na ang dagdag sahod. This is truly historic, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, mga kasama, this controversy is not simply about 85 pesos. It is about whether the wage setting process established under the Labor Code can be bypassed whenever an employer disagrees with the wage order. It is about whether a regular trial court may restrain the implementation of a wage order despite the specific administrative process created by law. It is also about whether the Department of Labor and Employment will also defend the authority entrusted to it or retreat the moment that authority is challenged. Kapag malalaking negosyante at oligarko ang humingi ng pabor, napakabilis kumilos ng gobyerno at sistema. Pero kapag manggagawa ang nagsasabing hindi na sapat ang sahod para mabuhay, ang sagot palagi ay pag-aaralan pa. Magtiis na muna, maghintay at umasa sa susunod na wage order. Mr. Speaker, mga kasama, the legal questions raised by this case are serious. Malinaw po na sinasaad sa Article 126 ng Labor Code, and I quote, "No preliminary or permanent injunction or temporary restraining order may be issued by any court, tribunal, or other entity against any proceedings before the Commission or the regional boards. Article 123, meanwhile, provides a very specific remedy for a party aggrieved by a wage order: an appeal to the National Wages and Productivity Commission within the period provided by law. Such an appeal does not automatically suspend the wage order. A stay requires the appellant to file an undertaking with satisfactory sureties before the Commission for the payment of the corresponding wage increase should the order be affirmed. Congress designed this mechanism for a reason. Wage determination is specialized quasi-legislative function entrusted to the regional wage boards, subject to review by the NWPC. These bodies study economic conditions, conduct consultations, receive the positions of workers and employers, and determine whether an adjustment is warranted. An aggrieved employer is not without a remedy, but the remedy prescribed by law is an administrative appeal to the Commission. The Pasig RTC's intervention, therefore, raises grave jurisdictional and institutional concerns. It appears inconsistent with Article 126 and risks circumventing the administrative appeal process under Article 123. At the very least, it raises a serious question of judicial encroachment upon the wage-setting authority entrusted by Congress to the regional boards and the NWPC. Sa madaling sabi, Mr. Speaker at mga kasama, pinangihimasukan ng Pasig Regional Trial Court ang isang bagay na wala itong jurisdiksyon. Pinangingibabawan nito ang kapangyarihan ng Kongreso na gumawa ng batas at pinangungunahan naman nito ang ehekutibong naitalagang magpatupad ng mga nagawang batas. We respect the independence of the judiciary and recognize the authority of courts to determine the limits of their jurisdiction. But judicial independence does not place judicial action beyond scrutiny, especially when an order directly affects more than 1 million minimum wage workers and appears to collide with the language and structure of the labor code. Respect for the courts does not require silence from Congress. Congress enacted the law, established the wage boards, prescribed the appeal process, and restricted the issuance of injunctions involving proceedings before the Commission and regional boards. We, therefore, have the right and the obligation to ask whether the statutory process enacted by Congress has been disregarded. And we must ask what happens if this becomes the precedent. Kapag ba hindi nagustuhan ng mga employer ang wage order sa iba't ibang rehiyon, ibig sabihin, pupunta na lang sila sa mga regional trial courts. Kapag ayaw ba nilang ipatupad ang dagdag na pasahod, hihingi na lamang ba sila ng temporary restraining order? If that becomes the ordinary course, what remains of the authority of the wage boards? What remains of the appellate jurisdiction of the NWPC? What assurance can workers have that any future wage increase will ever reach them? Mr. Speaker, ang isa pa pong nakakabahala, bukod sa problematic at depektibong TRO na nilabas ng Pasig RTC, ay naging tugon mismo ng Department of Labor and Employment. Sa halip na ipaglaban at tindigan ang wage order, ang exclusive jurisdiction ng RTWPB-NCR at ng National Wages and Productivity Commission, sa halip na matapang na tumayo kasama ang mga manggagawang dapat na makinabang sa dagdag sahod, palasuko at duwag pa na pumanig ang dole sa depektibo at illegal na temporary restraining order. Government agencies must ordinarily comply with court orders, but compliance does not require surrender, Mr. Speaker. 4 days have passed since the TRO was issued, yet DOLE has not publicly confirmed the filing of any motion or other legal remedy to challenge it. The department's announced intention to defend the wage increase must now be translated into immediate legal action to uphold the clear language of Articles 123 and 126. E nasaan po ang tapang na ipinakita nung ipinagmamalaki ng gobyernong ito ang historic na wage increase? Nasaan ang malinaw na pangakong gagamitin ng DOLE ang lahat ng legal na remedyo at instrumento upang maipatupad agad ang aumento sa sahod? Secretary Tolentino cannot claim ownership of the wage increase when it is announced, then act merely as a passive observer when it is restrained. He cannot place his name beside the word historic when there is good news, but hide behind procedure when workers are denied the benefit. Hindi sapat na maging tagapag-anunsyo lang ang Secretary of Labor. Ang Secretary of Labor ay ang dapat na pangunahing tagapagtanggol ng mga manggagawa sa executive branch. Secretary Tolentino, hindi ka dapat maging tol ng mga negosyanteng gustong pigilan ang pagtaas ng sahod. You are expected to stand with the workers whose rights your department was created to protect. Mr. Speaker, the court order itself reveals the imbalance at the heart of our economic and legal system. The petitioning companies argued that the wage increase would raise payroll expenses, employer contributions, 13th month pay, overtime differentials, wage distortion adjustments, productivity incentives, leave conversions, and other labor costs. Sabi pa po ng isang petitioner, ine-estimate na nila na ang increase would add approximately 409,000 pesos to its direct payroll expense. It also warned of reduced profitability, workforce reduction, suspension of operations, and possible closure. These projected costs were carefully computed, placed in affidavits, and presented as urgent injuries requiring immediate judicial intervention. Pero nasaan naman po ang kaparehas na accounting sa mawawala sa mga manggagawa? Where is the calculation of meals that the workers can no longer afford? Where is the computation of medicines left unpurchased? Where is the valuation of the hours lost to exhausting commutes because workers cannot afford housing closer to work? Madaling sabihin at ipakita sa mga balance sheets ang sinasabing pagkalugi ng mga negosyo. Pero paano naman ang mga manggagawa? Worker injury is scattered across millions of homes. That does not make it less real. It merely makes it easier to ignore. Mr. Speaker, we do not deny that some enterprises, particularly micro and small businesses, may face genuine difficulty in complying with wage increases. A responsible wage policy must provide appropriate mechanisms for distressed establishments, including transparent and strictly regulated exemptions, affordable credit, targeted subsidies, productivity assistance, tax support, and other transitional measures for enterprises that demonstrate actual incapacity. Pero kailangan din po, Mr. Speaker, nating tanungin, bakit ho ba laging manggagawa ang sumasalo at lagi nating sinisisi sa mga problema ng isang negosyo? Bakit ang laging tingin sa mga manggagawa ay gastos lamang sa kumpanya o mga negosyo? The court said that the controversy should not be reduced to a simple binary between workers and employers because businesses and labor are economically interdependent. That principle is correct, Mr. Speaker. Workers need viable enterprises, and enterprises cannot exist without workers. But genuine interdependence cannot mean that workers share in every business risk while receiving only a limited share of business growth. It cannot mean that the right of enterprises to reasonable returns is immediately enforceable while the constitutional commitment to a living wage remains permanently aspirational. Kapag nalulugi po ang negosyo, Mr. Speaker, manggagawa ang pinagsasakripisyo. Pero kapag kumikita naman ng mga negosyo at mga kumpanya, laging sinasabi, maghintay muna ang mga manggagawa bago makinabang. This is not genuine interdependence. It is an equal dependence. The enterprise depends upon workers to create value, while the worker is made dependent upon an employer for the basic ability to eat. Mr. Speaker, the 85 peso wage increase was never enough. Even upon full implementation, the minimum wage for non-agricultural workers in Metro Manila would increase only to 780 pesos per day. That remains far below what a worker supporting a family needs for food, rent, utilities, transportation, medicine, education, and other necessities. Ang mga minimum wage earner ho ay walang mga abogado. Hindi kahalintulad ng mga malalaking negosyanteng kayang kumuha ng mga maimpluwensya at prestihiyosong law firms. Walang ibang sinasandigan ng mga manggagawa, kundi ang gobyerno. When the state grants a wage increase, workers should not be left wondering whether that promise will survive long enough to appear on their payslips. Ito ang dahilan kung bakit hindi po pwedeng walang imik o walang paglaban ang gobyerno. The government cannot remain a passive observer. The DOLE, the NWPC, RTWPB, NCR, and the Office of the Solicitor General must immediately exhaust all available legal remedies. They must vigorously defend the legality of the wage order and the wage-setting authority granted to them by Congress. They must ensure that workers are not misled, underpaid, or deprived of amounts lawfully due for periods not covered by any restraining order. They must assure workers that the state will not simply abandon an increase after publicly promising it. For decades, Mr. Speaker, the regional wage boards have held consultations, studied economic indicators, received position papers, and periodically announced increases. Yet, after every process, the outcome remains fundamentally the same. Minimum wages remain far below the actual cost of living. Regional disparities persist. Workers performing comparable work receive vastly different wages based largely on geography. Parehas na trabaho, parehas na pagod, parehas na pangangailangan, pero magkakaiba ang sahod. The present controversy strengthens the case for Congress to establish a clear national minimum wage baseline that progressively closes the gap between the wages and the actual cost of a dignified life. The false choice between business survival and worker survival must end. A competent government must protect both. But the survival of an enterprise cannot be permanently financed through the hunger of its workers. Ang mga pamilya po ay napupuwersang mangutang para makabili ng pagkain at makabayad sa mga utilities. Tapos gagamitin ang susunod na sahod para ipambayad sa nakaraang utang. Tapos mangungutang ulit para may maipambayad sa isa na namang utang. This is not a failure of budgeting or financial literacy. It is arithmetic made impossible by an inadequate wage. It tells us that the state has failed to establish a durable and just framework for balancing enterprise viability with workers' rights. It tells Congress that we can no longer postpone structural wage reform. Ngayon pong papalapit na tayo sa national budget deliberations, bawat ahensya po ng gobyerno ay muling haharap dito sa atin, sa Kamara. May kanya-kanyang bit-bit na accomplishment reports, statistics, targets, at beneficiary counts. They will tell us how many workers attended training, how many establishments were inspected, how many people received temporary employment, how many consultations were conducted, and how many livelihood kits were distributed. But we must ask harder questions, Mr. Speaker. Ilang mga manggagawa na ba ang sumasahod ng sapat para sa mga batayang pangangailangan ng kanilang pamilya? Ilang mga kontraktual na manggagawa na ba ang naging regular? Ilang JO, COS na ba ang nabigyan ng permanenteng item? Ilang mga manggagawang tinanggal o nawalan ng trabaho nagkaroon sa wakas ng disente at pangmatagalang trabaho? Ilang mga employer na ba ang napanagot dahil sa hindi pagbabayad o paghuhulog ng government-mandated benefits? Ilan na ba ang napanagot na kumpanya dahil sa illegal dismissal, union busting, wage theft at iba pang labor violations? Ilang wage orders ba ang naipatupad ng husto na walang delay, circumvention o pag-iwas? How much funding directly strengthens workers' bargaining power, employment security, and access to justice? How much support is available to help genuine micro and small enterprises comply with fair wage standards? And how much of the country's economic growth actually reaches the worker? If the answer remains very little, government programs cannot be declared successful merely because funds were obligated or beneficiaries were counted. Government performance must be measured by whether ordinary people can live better. We from Kamanggagawa Party List therefore urges this House to place wage justice and decent employment at the center of the coming budget season. We must provide sufficient resources for labor inspection and enforcement. We must strengthen employment facilitation, unemployment protection, and training programs tied to actual and stable jobs. We must provide targeted assistance to enterprises that genuinely need help complying with labor standards without turning workers into permanent shock absorbers for the country. And we must advance legislation establishing a fair national wage baseline that progressively brings wages closer to the real cost of a dignified life. Mr. Speaker, mga kasama, this issue is not whether or not businesses matter. They do. The issue is whether workers matter equally. The issue is whether the hunger of a worker constitutes an urgent injury. Sa bagong Pilipinas na ipinagmamalaki ng administrasyon, bigong-biguho ang mga manggagawa. Bigong-bigo sa sahod, bigong-bigo sa seguridad, sa trabaho, bigong-bigo sa pagpapatupad ng batas. Our workers are demanding justice. Congress must act. The executive must act. DOLE must ask. Let us defend every peso already granted to workers. Let us end a wage-setting system that repeatedly delivers too little, too late. And let us build an economy where the people who create the nation's wealth are no longer the last to benefit and the first to sacrifice. Before I end, Mr. Speaker, I just want to inform this body that a while ago, the Senate of the Republic of the Philippines has announced that they will file a bipartisan resolution calling for the immediate lifting of the temporary restraining order issued by the Pasig RTC Branch 152. This has been supported by no other than the Majority Leader, Senator Mig Zubiri. Also supported by the Committee on Labor and Employment of the Senate, Senator Joel Villanueva. Also supported, strongly supported by Senator Robin Padilla. Nananawagan po ako sa mga kasama ko dito sa Kongreso. Pinangihimasukan po ang ating trabaho. Pinangihimasukan po ang ating kapangyarihan. Hindi po dapat tayo pumayag sa tahasang pambabastos na ginagawa ng Pasig RTC Branch 152 sa ating mga manggagawa. Therefore, I urge everyone to join us and support the call to lift immediately the temporary restraining order at ibigay natin ang inagaw na sahod sa ating mga minimum wage earners. Bawat araw po na hindi natin pinaglalaban ng mga minimum wage earners, ikatumbas po ng buhay, pangarap ng kanilang mga anak at pamilya. Yun lamang po, Mr. Speaker. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay ang ating mga manggagawa.